Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Kerbal Space Program. This is 0.25 update here. So the last time we tried to play this game, we tried to build a little rocket. Well, I guess I shouldn't say a little rocket. We tried to make a massive creation that's going to take us out to Moho. That's the next contract we're looking at. Let's see, active is Explore Moho. Let me just see if I can pick up anything else related to Moho. Doesn't look like it. Unlike the other planets we visited, Moho doesn't exactly have any sort of moon system, so that means that it's just going to be a trip to Moho, and that's it. Now, let's see, let's load one up here. The last thing we had was the Moho Explorer Mark II. I tried to build a Mark I, but it just didn't have enough fuel to get out there and back. So this, I've constructed the Mark II with a lot more delta V. Now this one has a total of 16,689 delta V, which is to say definitely a lot more. Now I've kind of tweaked it a little bit from the last design, and I figured out what the issue was. Basically what was happening was these Sepatron engines, as they were falling, were hitting, they were burning the engines as they fell, causing them to overheat. So what I've had to try to do in like a test run is throttle down the main engines a little bit once I separate. This way they will still damage them a little bit, but it won't completely blow them up. So, which is key. You don't want anything to blow up. I've also tried to do these in an asparagus kind of setting, but that ended up not really working out too well because these boosters would way outlast these tanks for a long time, so that didn't really quite work out. So what I think I'm going to do is actually just try to combine all these stages together, and I'm not sure if I can actually do that. Can I just drag this into that like that? No, that doesn't quite work out that way. So I'm just going to manually take all these stages and put them all in the same one, because what ends up happening is they all run out at approximately the same time, and so there's no point in trying to stage them in the asparagus style. So we will let them all go at the same exact time, which works out a little bit better for our staging. We don't have to hammer the stage button over and over again. So yeah, I'm really quite enjoying this 0.25 so far. I've noticed something though. I tried to change the difficulty, but since this is a save state from a prior version, it's kind of locked me in at the normal difficulty setting, which is, if you know that 2.25 now has difficulty, and KSP had always been kind of at normal difficulty. I kind of wanted to try it on moderate, or the one step harder from normal, but we're locked in at normal, unfortunately. But that's okay. I didn't want to make an entirely new slate and start all over again, because honestly we would just be doing the same exact things that we did in the 0.24 series, and I just didn't want to bore you guys, and honestly I didn't want to get bored doing the same missions over and over again. That's why I kind of picked up where we left off, and that's what we're doing with this series. We're going to complete the science tree and try to visit every single orbiting body in this entire system. That's the plan anyways. But first we must go to Moho. And I think, you know what we'll do? We'll take one hero, like one of the veterans, and then someone new. So I think we'll take Bill along, and then also Thramden, because he was a commander for one of the other missions, maybe the Eve mission or the Duna mission, and it had to have been the Eve mission because Bill was on the ride for Duna. So it's like two veterans basically going to explore Moho. I think that's quite nice, don't you think? Alright, so this is our craft. It's got an astonishing 16,689 meters per second of delta V, and hopefully it'll take us to Moho. Not only that, but have enough fuel to do the 7-degree inclination burn change, as well as slow down enough to get into an orbit around Moho. That's the trick. There's just so much fuel required to get to Moho that it's probably the hardest thing to get to. Just orbits so quickly, and it's just hard to catch up to. But anyways, like I said last time, I'm gonna wait to adjust my phase angles until we're in orbit, because Moho orbits so fast that if you adjust the phase angle here on the ground, it'll be way off by the time you get into orbit. So having said that, let's get thrown in and bill into orbit. Hopefully it'll work out this time when nothing explodes. So here we go. Oh my goodness. That is heavy. And hopefully not too loud. Might be a little bit loud, but who knows. This is it. This is us so far. So as you can see, the outer tanks are already starting to burn out. But we can't release those just yet because we still have these very active solid fuel boosters, which will remain very active for the next 20 or 30 seconds. But that's alright. We're carrying a little extra weight, but it'll all get released in one just fantastic staging. Which, to be honest with you, I probably could have just included this staging with that staging, but I didn't think of it at the time, so this is what we get. You'll notice each time it stages, we get a little drop in G. So we'll just boost it back up again, just to maintain a 1G acceleration. Which is kind of what you want when you're doing something like this. So the last of them will burn out quite soon. And then around that same time, these solid fuel boosters will also be out. So it'll be a lovely little picturesque moment. So they're all out. Just a couple more seconds now until these ones run out. And it's going to be a lovely old display of stages. Now hopefully, like I said before, I put parachutes on these things, so hopefully nothing destroys the vehicle assembly buildings and the other buildings down there, and that would be quite sad, because that can happen now. So we'll let those go, and there's the parachutes, and then... Oh my goodness, that almost overheated the whole shebang. I had to throttle down real quick. That's so many Sepratron engines that it just kind of nukes the whole main stack as it goes down. But as you can see, the heating has now gone away. And we're still rising. And now we have basically an asparagus stage. 6 asparagus. All connected with the pipelines there. And we're just about at the 10,000 mark. So we'll just begin to do our gravity turn, which, God help us all. May the Kerbal gods help us be on our side here. This is gonna get crazy. All right, we're ready for staging. Throttle down a little bit. That just a little bit of heating there. So we'll throttle back up again. And that's how we kind of have to do this. I'm just going to go to full throttle here. Why muck around with anything but the max? That's what these Kerbals are all about. Going full throttle in life. So we'll just keep returning. It's going to overheat a little bit because these engines are so close together. But I won't let them explode. Maybe I'll just throttle back to... See, there we go. It's starting to mitigate the heating. Just keep her turning. We're a little low on the line. Move it up a little bit. Just to keep everything on the straight and narrow. Just keep on turning as the ship turns. Apoapsis is 32 and rising. So far this has been a success. If we could just get into space and not have these engines explode, I think we'll be alright. So I'm going to have to throttle back a little more now, because the staging is about to occur. And I don't want any sort of heating when that happens. But it's okay, we're still going at about 1.5 G. So here we go. not too bad. Just pump it back up to where it was. And we'll just keep riding this crazy train upwards. Now, I didn't put parachutes on those stages because I know that they're not going to fall anywhere near the KSC. As you can see, they're going to land over here. So we're fine with that. We're good in that regard. So we'll just keep on pushing. It's taking a little longer with this launch because of all the extra weight that we have, but rest assured, I think it's going to be worth it. By the time we're in orbit, we should hopefully have these extra 2 stacks still on us, because it's taking a long time for them to burn out. There's a lot of fuel in these tanks. There's a lot of fuel. Push a little further now, a little closer to the horizon. Pick up a little more forward velocity. There we go. Apoapsis is 77, so we're almost there. We are almost there, folks. And we're almost at the critical velocity, too. So I'm just going to turn this thing full on to the horizon and shut down the engines. That's wonderful. So I think we're going to have a little bit of this fuel left over for our Trans-Moho burn, which is just wonderful. That's precisely what we want. And get most of that done before we even have to eject those stages. So that's going to be wonderful. Now, we finished that burn with... We're not even nearly out of the atmosphere yet. So that's awesome. But I expected no less from these 2 heroes, Thramden and Bill Kerman, the heroes of our new economic booming Kerbal Space Program. Emphasis on the boom. Our ladder. Pesky ladder just likes to stay out. Now we're finally out of the atmosphere. So I feel okay about deploying our solar panels. Watch them all come out. What a sight that is. We'll just line up our maneuver node here. And all we have to do is an additional 313 meters per second. So let's just go ahead and warp our way up there. And I love the new features, what they did to the nav ball. They basically included the enhanced nav ball mod into the main game now. So it'll now tell you where your maneuver node is with a little arrow. It'll also tell you where the other toggles are. Your normal, anti-normal, radial, anti-radial, and prograde, and retrograde. Which is, I think, great. This way you don't have to hunt around for your reticles anymore. You kind of just know where they are. And to be honest, I've kind of been waiting for them to do something like that. The next thing I'm waiting for them to do is to add something like their engineering mod in the main game also. Because I think that's a vital tool. You know, if you're trying to calculate how much delta V you need, what are you going to do without it? Like, do it by hand, you know? You could technically add up all the mass of the objects by looking at what it is, getting your calculator out, and you could write it all down, and then you could add up all the thrust, and you could divide the thrust by the mass to get your thrust weight ratio. But it's, that gives you one thing. But it's too much work. It's too much damn work. I'd rather just have this engineer here. That's why I always have this mod installed. It's just so helpful. So I would not be surprised if they're going to add something like this to the main game at some point in the future. And at least I hope they do, if they're listening right now. Which I highly doubt it, because my channel's tiny, and they don't care probably about me. But you do, my loyal fans, and I'm so thankful for all of you. You know who you are. Alright, so we are in orbit now. We are in space. Now is the time where we want to adjust our phase angle. So let's just go to the rendezvous, celestial body, Moho. So we want to make this angle negative 251.79 degrees. Probably a little higher than that, because again, by the time we warp around and start burning, the phase angle will be ruined. Moho orbits stupid fast. Can't say that enough. So we're going to look for something like 251.85. That's what we're going to look for. So let's just get that going. Now it tells us our relative inclination is 7 degrees, basically meaning that this is a 7-degree inclination off the ecliptic that we have to adjust or correct. And it looks like we are... Oh, that's right, we can't warp while in the spaceship. What am I thinking? Derp! So we have to go and use the Time Waster, which is our friendly little craft that we built. Very highly technical, very complicated to get this done. So let's go ahead and do that. So once again, here we are with our tiny little space probe, the Time Waster. A highly technically advanced piece of machinery here. Very, very difficult to construct, very difficult to maintain. One whole circuit board and one whole solar panel. It's going to take us the rest of the way, so basically we do this, in case you don't know, because we can't warp ahead faster than this when we're in orbit, so we must warp ahead using the Time Waster. Now you can see Moho orbiting insanely fast compared to the other planets. It makes like 2 loops or 3 or 4 loops for every 1 loop that Kerbal makes, and we're already almost at our phase angle. Negative 251 is what we're looking for. Now someone said to watch something about intercept angle and it counts down to the correct time, but I found that that only works in certain situations. Oh, we've already missed it. Jesus. We just missed our phase angle, but that's okay. We can get it back in a matter of no time. So I can't even talk while I'm doing this. That would be a multitask fail right there. But rest assured, we're almost back to the correct phase angle again. Because of Moho just burning around that sun. Alright. Negative 251 is what we're looking for. We're getting there. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2... Almost. Getting there. Negative 251.8 I'm probably going to go for. Alright. We'll do something like this. Maybe. Just get it right down to 8. To some of you this may seem a little tedious, a little insane, but this is what we got to do. Alright, that's us. That's going to work out. We're going to go back to our Explorer. Thank you very much, Time Waster. You've been very helpful. So this, hopefully, now should be the correct phase. Let's take a look at what it looks like. But not for too long, because I don't want to waste any time. So that's what it kind of looks like. Moho is the 12 o'clock, and Kerbal is like the 3 o'clock. Or if you want to look at it this way, Moho is then the 9 o'clock. So let's go ahead and make our burn. Again, we're going to want to burn on the light side. We're going to make what's called the retrograde orbital burn, I guess. I don't know, there's probably an actual technical name for this, but I just call it the retro orbit burn. Something that looks like that is what we want, but we want to go a little further because we want to get to Moho's orbit. No, don't go away. That's not what I said. Silly maneuver node. Something like this. Now, it's obviously not going to line up just yet because... Ooh. Of course, as I say that, what do we get? We get a lineup. But it's not going to be perfect because, again, our inclination is screwed up, so we're going to have to fix that. But you just kind of get it near it, something like this. And then once you get to... Here's the descending node. Once you get to here, you fix it, and then you can then do more corrections to get the encounter. Now, something I've been bitten on before, I've been bitten by before, is if you... Well, you know, I'll wait till we get there. And once we get to that point, then I'll kind of tell you what I've been stung by. But oh my, I'm trying to turn this ship right now. It's just not wanting to cooperate with me. Yes, I know this. I'm gonna do the old time warp, move the ship gag. This tends to work out. Just do a little physical time warp, and that way you can move the ship a little easier. Alright. So the node is in 19 minutes. This is probably gonna be a 30-second burn, maybe? Not really sure. Because we had to go to the Space Center now. The game forgot how much thrust we have. So it can't tell us just how long it's going to take it. But we can figure it out. And look guys, I actually remembered to put fins on my ship. Isn't that amazing? If you guys have watched my other videos, every single launch I go, "Ah, dang it, I forgot fins." And I always say, next time I'll get them, next time. We'll add that to the list of common things that Hot Jupiter says that he never follows up on. There's quite a lot of those. But I thank you for liking me anyways. At least I hope so. You better, if you're watching this channel. Alright, let's just do a little test burn here. Just to see how long it's actually going to take. A minute. So we'll burn at 30 seconds. Want to check out the phase angle. Yeah, check that out. Negative 251.67. It's already past the phase, and we're like about to make the burn, and we're already past the phase. So that's what I'm talking about. If you guys are trying to get to Moho, do the phase angle like right before you're about to make the burn. In fact, I even did it a little too early, but I think we're still gonna be all right. Here we go. Light these babies up. And I just realized something critical is that that's calculating for both these engines firing, which we're not going to have for much longer. So it's going to be a little longer than we thought, the burn here. Which might mess some things up for us. Hopefully not too bad. We've got about another 6 seconds left on this engine. Again, I'm just going to throttle it back because these are going to overheat as they decouple. Hopefully not too much. Ooh, alright. Okay. That was a close one. But we've done it and we're flipping around, showing us that we've now broken the bonds of Kerbin's gravity. Now we're going to have two lovely gigantic boosters orbiting in an extremely elliptical orbit for the rest of eternity. But that's okay. And so now you can see that we are bringing our post-Kerbin orbit down towards the sun in an insane gesture of either courageousness or, well, insanity, I guess you could say. Probably a little bit of both. This engine gets to about half the heat, maybe 60%, but I don't think it's going to overheat. We're getting right down to it now. Only about 60 left. I think that's us. And look, it didn't really mess things up too much, so I'm pretty happy about that. That's basically where it was. It says we're going to be a little ahead of it, so we're going to have to make a couple adjustments, which we will do in the next episode of Kerbal Space Program .25. Thanks for watching, everybody. Join me then.